They take on the Golden State Warriors. As we welcome everybody back to Warriors Pregame Live, presented by Comcast Business. Jennifer Azzi, Darrell Wright, Bonte Hill. And look, we look at these standings here, Jennifer, and it has been 6 through 10, been up and down, up and down. But the Warriors should feel good about their chances if they just handled their business at Chase Center.
Well, they should definitely feel good about their chances, but you see right there in Detroit how another team, an opponent, can be scary. And, you know, Darrell, you and I talked about this. The organization may be sort of, you know, giving up on the season, but the guys are not giving up on their careers. Right. So it's scary when you have a team coming in here that they have the players themselves have everything to gain.
Yeah, these are the most dangerous games. You got a bunch of guys that's trying to show their worth and show that they're NBA players, and they're trying to get that longevity in their career. So I think it's going to be super important for the Warriors to come out tonight with a sense of urgency, you know, and locked in and focused, getting ready for that playing game or whatever the case may be, to get, you know, 6 games at home.
Well, we know the Western Conference Player of the month of April is locked in. Stephen Curry, he's been lighting up. And Tuesday night, let's revisit that game down at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. The lights went out on Curry, D. Wright and Jennifer. They went out. At that point, he had 35 points. Looked like he was about to drop a 50-burger on the Pelicans. But from that moment there, late in the third quarter, he only scored 2 points and finished 1 for 12. And the Warriors needed a couple baskets here. He had some good looks at some threes. What happened here? Well, Curry spoke on the final 6 games here, this homestand, and how important they are.
6 games at home to finish the season is nice. That is kind of a trap, though, where you can let your foot off the gas pedal because you're comfortable being at home, seeing our families. You're in familiar, you know, territory. You got to stay locked in mentally on the task at hand to finish out the season strong. So I'm gonna enjoy being back in the Bay and, you know, sleeping in our own beds. But, you know, 6 games at home, it's not just because we're at Chase and because we now have fans back that we can just show up and win. We talked about that before, too. So got to stay locked in mentally, take advantage of the schedule.
And Darrell and Jennifer, we've been talking about this, and Darrell, the Warriors at 33 and 33. Steph Curry's right. They can't overlook any opponent, no matter where they're playing the games at, whether it's Chase, Smoothie King Center, OKC, doesn't matter. This team has to look game by game and bring it every single night. And Steph Curry, I think, spoke those sentiments.
You got to stay locked in, like Steph always tweets out before games. It's super important. I understand what he's saying. You get comfortable, you're at home, you just think it's all an automatic win, and it's not. And I'm pretty sure this is something different in the NBA. Team being able to finish their season 6 games at home. I've never heard of that. So it's going to be super important. They take it serious and come locked in every night.
No, it's certainly an advantage to have these 6 games at home, but, you know, several games this season we've talked about, okay, this is a game that they should win, and they come out to a flat start and maybe aren't as locked in as they need to be. So you would think with 6 games remaining that every player would be locked in. It's going to be challenging without Oubre and some of the other injuries, but at the same time, they have the personnel to win this game.
All right, these next 2 games may seem like gimmies, but we saw there with Memphis and Detroit. That's not the case. And it's not the case as Moses Brown has anything to say about it. We'll discuss the double-double machine in just a minute. But first, let's welcome Monty Poole, powered by Cisco WebEx. Good evening, Monty. Why are you laughing there? No, I know what you're laughing about there. Don't even worry. We got something for Moses Brown a little bit later, and hopefully Chris Willard's out there watching. But we're talking about Steph Curry. You wrote about this earlier today on NBC Sports, BayArea.com, about this chapter in Steph Curry's career and how great he's been. And I know the team hasn't performed at the same level as Steph Curry, but with all that said, how will we remember this season that Steph Curry has produced?
Well, obviously the statistics are massive. I mean, they put him in the MVP conversation, rightfully so. I mean, he could lead the league in scoring. He is right now, and he could maintain that going into these final 6 games. So he's been phenomenal. This is his best season ever, and he's had some pretty good seasons. You may recall that he did have an MVP season in which he got every first-place vote. So he's had some pretty good history there. But to me, it's also impressive what he's doing behind the scenes, tutoring these kids, the young players who haven't been around, even the veteran guys who don't know what it's like to win. I mean, we see how NBA superstars can be sometimes. You saw how LeBron, famously yelled out that he needed an effing playmaker in Cleveland, and you saw how James Harden did in Houston, where he just kind of bowed out ahead of time while still getting the paycheck. Stephen Curry has done none of that and come close to doing that. He's had so many opportunities to throw guys under the bus, and he will not do it. It's who he is. So to me, that's part of his makeup. I mean, he's in it to win it. He wants to win as many games as possible. He knows that this team is not the kind of team he's had in the past, but he also understands that in the big picture, it'll get better, and it's important for him to maintain his own self-worth and self-being, because he's in a different position right now. So I'm impressed by that part of his game as much as his actual game on the floor.
So, Monty, we know about the injuries here. James Wiseman, Marquise Chris, Kelly Oubre Jr. will be reevaluated in the next couple weeks to see if he could come back possibly for the playoffs. What is this I'm hearing about an old friend coming back to play with the Golden State Warriors? Is it true, Monty?
Well, I've heard the same thing, and yes, it is true that he is a possibility. They are looking at, from what I understand, 3 or 4 guys that they would like to consider adding at least one more player. They have 2 open roster spots, and Jordan Bell is a guy who knows the system, even though the Warriors don't play as much as they usually did, as they did when he was with the team. He knows Steph. He knows Draymond. And so he'd be a pretty easy fill-in for those reasons. Now, the question is, what kind of condition is he in? He's bounced around the league since leaving the Warriors. He's played for 3 other teams, and so he hasn't been able to stick anywhere. So right now, if you're the Warriors, you're thinking, okay, who can we bring in that can use a short runway to be able to join us and maybe give us something over these final few games? And that makes sense in that regard, because it would be a short-term commitment.
Wow. Jordan Bell, we all remember him from Candlegate and some of the shenanigans from the last season. That would be interesting. Jordan Bell returning to the Golden State Warriors. Thanks so much, Monty. We'll talk to you a little bit later here as I turn my attention back to the panel. Jordan Bell? I mean, what do you remember about him? What can he provide to this team?
Well, the familiarity. I mean, he does know Steph. He's played with Draymond, so that's a comfort level. I think bringing someone like bringing a former player, he's a super athlete. I think he could definitely help them on the boards. I think he could help them in the paint. I used to love when he was in the mix here, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, Jordan Bell will bring that athleticism, some toughness, and a guy that knows his system. He knows what it takes to be a champion because he's been in it. So I like that move, bringing Jordan Bell back. And players that go back to their team on a second stint always give their best.
Nothing to lose, right?
Nothing to lose. Yeah, nothing to lose. Your boundary. You're in Erie right now. Yeah. Erie, Bay Area, Chase Center Warriors. I'm all for Jordan Bell coming back. Let's go. Up next, AC, who we should look out for. Maybe Lou Dort if he plays tonight. But more so about the news today about Kelly Oubre Jr. Kendra Andrews, of course, joins us, powered by Cisco WebEx. Kendra, what can you tell us about Kelly Oubre Jr., whether or not he'll return this season?
Well, Bonte, Kelly Oubre got a MRI on Wednesday that confirmed previous imaging results of a small fracture and ligament tear in that left wrist. Now, you'll remember he first sprained his wrist all the way back in March, just before the All-Star break, and then re-aggravated it on April 9th. That kept him out for 11 days. He returned for 5 games, but now he hasn't played since April 27th. I'm told that he has been able to do some lower body work, but hasn't been able to do anything on the court because he's still feeling pain in that wrist. Now, the good news is that the Warriors say he will not require surgery. He does not need surgery, and that they're going to reevaluate him late next week. But with the Warriors' last game of the regular season on May 16th, it's very, very unlikely that we'll see Kelly Oubre for the rest of the regular season.
All right, this 6-game homestand, we've talked about it since the All-Star break. It's a benefit to the Golden State Warriors to play the last 6 at home. But how tough will these last 6 if they don't get any reinforcements, whether it's Jordan Bell, who may reunite with the Golden State Warriors, or Pascal or Damian Lee? How tough will these last 6 be for the Warriors?
These are very, very important games. These 2 games against the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight and Saturday are must-win games for the Warriors. Then they welcome in the Jazz and the Suns, who occupy the top 2 seeds in the West. If they could pick up one of those games, amazing. That's just a bonus. And then their next game against the Pelicans is also a must-win, and here's why. Because that last game of the season that I just mentioned on May 16th is against the Memphis Grizzlies, and the winner of that game will most likely take the number 8 seed. And the Warriors want either the 7th or 8th seed, because those 2 teams are going to face in the first round of the play-in tournament, and that is the only winner. The winner of that game is the only winner in the entire tournament that has to win just one to get a spot in the playoffs. So these games are huge. The Grizzlies have a very favorable schedule heading into San Francisco, so the Warriors need to do everything they can to set themselves up for success heading into that game.
And the Grizzlies are down 5 right now. Early third quarter against the Detroit Pistons. We'll keep everybody in mind, or keep that game in mind all night long here as the Grizzlies try to win against the Pistons. Thanks so much, Kendra, for that update here. Kelly Oubre Jr. This was tough news for the Warriors. Obviously, he's missed the last 4 games here, but if he can't come back in the playoffs, that'll be a boost here. But what can they do without Kelly Oubre Jr., Darrell, to try to, that's 15 points, 6 rebounds, and some high-level defense that they're missing?
Well, it's still that next man up mentality. I think what Michael Motor's been doing, I thought what Jordan Poole's been doing, what they've been bringing as far as scoring, and also JTA. I think they're going to have to continue to pick their load up once they come off the bench, bringing in energy, doing the little things that don't show up in the stat sheet. And then Damian Lee, we haven't been talking about in a while because he's been out.
Yeah.
It's going to be super important for him to bring his 3-point shooting and his high IQ basketball to the team as well. So it is some guys that can fill that void, but missing Oubre throughout the playoffs is going to be tough.
I think it's going to be really tough. I mean, he has brought so much to this team this year when he's been available. And I think he was just
Let's take a look at the starting lineups, courtesy of Ford, the projected starting lineups of Oklahoma City. Let's see if we can figure this one out. Who did OKC bring to San Francisco? Is Lou Dort actually starting? He missed the last game against the Golden State Warriors back in April. Isaiah Roby. I do know Darius Baisley.
I know all 5 of those guys. I played against the Theo kid in Europe. I know Dort. Roby played with DeLon. Darius Baisley was a
Adidas guy, right? And
New Balance.
New Balance. There you go. New Balance.
So Tedler didn't do you any favors?
None.
Because he didn't put any of those up there.
Yeah,
Well, how about this? Let's figure out who the coach is. Mark Dagnall? Is it Dagnall? Dagnall? I don't even know who the coach is on OKC.
Coach, about the defense, how to stop a team that moved the ball so well? I mean, Warriors are averaging 27.4 assists per game.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they're good. You know, like that's the answer to good defense, is to continue to play and to move the ball. And with Curry, you know, they have a guy that you just have to put so much attention on. You know, there's not a lot of players that just with individual jump shots, you know, can win games for their team, but he's one of them. And so he's such a special preparation that he forces you to be pretty aggressive on the ball with him. And then when he's really unselfish when he sees that and he gets it out, and then the team really understands how to play around that. Green's obviously a catalyst there. And they make multiple efforts on offense with the ball. They move it. Curry gets it out quickly, you know, when he's the guy that's initiating. You know, Green is a great, 4-on-3 player in the half court. And so they're willing to make multiple efforts on offense, which means that in order to do a good job against them, you've got to be able to make multiple efforts on defense, and that's our challenge tonight.
All right, Oklahoma City in town today, and this is why nobody cares about OKC. San Fran shoot-around. Now, Jennifer, you've been here in the Bay Area a long time. Saying San Fran as a resident, San Francisco resident, that is an absolute no-no. You cannot say San Fran. It's like a curse word out of here. If you say San Fran, you may get robbed, you may get beat up. Seriously, you may get looked at crazy. So no San Fran, but that's why I hope the Thunder lose by 70. You come to our city, and you're out here abbreviating our city name with that cornball stuff. Never say San Fran. Hey, King Griffey Jr., he wished Willie Mays a happy birthday. We'll talk about that a little later. He said Cisco. What? What are we doing here?
That might be worse.
That might be worse.
That might
San
be
Fran. Yeah. And what's going on with the shoes here?
Because I guessed Josh Hall, so I have the shoes. You heard the bet, right?
Yeah, I heard it.
Anyway,
Wow.
So Macklin, get ready. I mean, they're a little bit big for you now, but look what you have. These shoes you have to fill.
Those are pretty clean right there, man. Full fives, man. We all may have to just split that. Let's sell them. About $600. Get split the $600.
Yeah.
Get some dinner here. Taylor doesn't deserve those shoes. He's a Laker fan anyway. We'll buy some Shaqs or something. All right, coming up here, Steph Curry pays tribute to the tenacity of Draymond Green. Kerr's here, and he has a chance to do some crazy things this season in the NBA and rewrite the record books. But I know you want to touch on Draymond Green because he's been playing at a high level over the last 6 weeks.
Yes, I'm thinking back to the games against the Pelicans where Draymond took it upon himself to frustrate Zion Williamson, a guy with 50 pounds on him. Got to give a little credit to Kevon Looney there as well. Both Looney and Draymond are healthy this season, making it possible. But as it pertains to Draymond, you can see that he is engaged this season because this season has meaning. Last season was a little tougher. The Warriors were 15-50, the worst record in the league. And Steve Kerr likes to call Draymond the last man standing. It kind of summed up the fact that Draymond was the lone guy left who was healthy last season and still with the team from that span of 5 consecutive finals. And it was very frustrating for Draymond to play alongside rookies or G League guys or new guys. This season, though, that frustration seems to be gone. He's alongside his buddy Steph Curry. And I asked Steph, what do you see Draymond giving this team physically right now?
His spirit is phenomenal right now. He's competitive. He's got a fire about him. I think he's enjoying the shape that he's in and how much work has gone into his body from the beginning of the season with missing part of training camp and all that. So it's been a slow build. As IT would say, a slow grind to get to where he's at right now. And I know he's enjoying just the way he's feeling and his impact on the game. And we feed off of that. So, especially with a shorthanded roster and undersized, he's playing way beyond his frame. We appreciate that.
I like that Steph brought up Draymond's condition, because you can see post-game in these interviews how fit, how trim Draymond looks, and how that's translating to excellent play on the court. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you're seeing such a hot season from Steph coincide with Draymond averaging a career best in assists. These two kind of together like a handshake for a lot of success for the Warriors as they make their playoff push.
Thanks so much for that report, Kerr, and you're on the money there when it comes to Draymond Green. We'll talk to you later this evening as we break down Draymond Green here. And, of course, Drew Schiller wrote a nice article on Draymond Green and on pace to make NBA history with a unique stat line. You want to read that because the unique stat line is, according to Drew Schiller, and we talked about this the other night, Draymond Green has a chance to be the first player to have fewer points than assists and rebounds. Let me get that straight. Fewer points than assists and rebounds. He can impact the game without scoring here. And you just look at his last 9, where Embiid, Jokic has been involved. Zion a couple times. He's averaged 7 points. We know the points are going to be around 7 and 10, but the 10 assists and the 10 rebounds and the 2 steals in high-level defense. He's really playing his best basketball of the season.
He's definitely playing his best, and I thought Steph summed it up well, too, with his conditioning because, to play the way he does and how hard he plays, you have to be in great shape to play that way. And I don't know, maybe he listened to your interview with Gary Payton and he's taken the defensive role even that much more seriously. But, to play with those kind of stats is amazing. I still think if he could add a few points here and there, it would make a difference in these 6 games.
Yes, this is incredible that Draymond Green is on a very, very slim list. Dennis Rodman, Jason Kidd, Rajon Rondo. These guys can impact a game without scoring 1 point. You know what I mean? And that's impressive to me to have that type of impact on a game on a defensive end and on an offensive end. And just to see that or hear that, it's just crazy. But I love where Draymond is now with his cardio. You could tell like he has a lot more energy, and he's taking the challenge on defense, and his guys are following in line behind him.
And then offensively, as Darrell just touched on, Jennifer, when he's aggressive offensively, it takes this team to another level. Sure, the assists are there. We know about the defense. But when he puts the ball in the basket or takes about 5 to 8 field goal attempts, it makes the Warriors that much better. He needs to be aggressive here down the stretch, especially without Kelly Oubre Jr.
Yeah, no kidding, because with the other, with Oubre being out, take that scoring away, and we were looking for where are those points going to come from. It would be good if 4 or 5 of those points come from Draymond because he's going to have opportunities. He's going to be open. But when he's aggressive, it changes them offensively, Drew.
Yeah, he has to stay aggressive. I think his biggest thing is taking those open shots. Those are second chance points. That's when you got your guys being athletic, getting there, getting those offensive rebounds. So I think it's super important for Draymond to continue to look for a shot, especially when he's open, and keep driving that basketball. Because at some point, that defense is going to collapse, and him being a great playmaker, he'll be able to find those guys around the perimeter.
No doubt about that. Still to come, Steph continues to chase down any and every NBA record, and he's chasing down Ray Allen's three-point record, and he's doing so at a historic pace, But first, let's find your ads presented by Atlantis Casino Spa Resort in Reno. Dubs are 14.5-point favorites to beat up on Moses Brown and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Over-under set at 226.5. OKC is 33-16 against the spread in their last 49 road games as an underdog. For more information like that, check out NBCSportsEdge.com to try to win yourself some free money. Right now, let's hear from Warriors head coach Steve Kerr.
What was your message to the team heading into these games about the importance of this homestand and these final games?
Well, we are in full prep mode for the playoffs, for the play-in tournament and the playoffs. That means we've got to be really sharp. And for me right now, what I'm looking at is we're losing the possession battle by quite a bit, and that's tough. It's tough to win anytime you lose a possession battle, but particularly when you're shorthanded and only playing 8 guys. So that means boxing out, being really attentive on the glass, and it means taking care of the ball. Those two things hurt us in our last 2 losses big time. Both opponents, I think, ended up with anywhere from 12 to 15 extra possessions, and that's tough to overcome.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups, courtesy of our great friends at Ford. Bazemore again at the 2. They are shorthanded right now, though. Steph Curry, we saw him run out of gas Tuesday night against the Pelicans. They're running 8 deep. Looked a little gassed during the back end of a back-to-back, but they had a day off. Nice little flight here back to the Bay Area, so they should be ready to go against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But we're talking about depth here, and we mentioned Jordan Bell earlier. And Darrell, Damian Lee's supposed to speak at 6:45, and you mentioned this earlier. Having him back in the lineup, as well as Eric Paschall, is going to help this team. Another scorer and another willing defender.
Yeah, at this point of the season, the biggest thing is getting healthy. If you want to get anywhere in the playoffs, play-in game, whatever game these guys are going to be playing in, you have to be healthy. And you just never know. It might be someone's night with a short rotation. So we see another game like that last one in New Orleans when guys run out of gas. They need that energy. They need that boost. Somebody else is going to make shots when Steph gets tired. So it's going to be super important for this team to get healthy.
Definitely. I think having Lee and Paschall back in the mix will make a huge difference. And if possible to get Oubre back for the last, couple of games, I think makes a big difference. And, you saw Steph at the end of that game, as great of condition as he is, as great as he's playing, he's going to need some relief here and there and some help with scoring.
Well, tonight he'll need it from Poole and Mulder, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Poole and Mulder have been up and down. Some good games. You saw them 34 combined points against Houston. They go down to New Orleans. They struggle a bit. Those 2 guys, the minutes are there for them. They've got to step up as well, Jennifer.
Yeah, they have to step up, and they need to seize the opportunity because they're not going to look down and think, oh, I might not play. They're playing. So their playing time is there, and they just need to come out and play hard and play. They're both good players, so just play your game. And we've seen Poole have some outstanding games this year, Darrell.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jennifer. When you're out there playing and you don't have to look behind your back to say you're going to see if you're getting subbed out the game because of a mistake, that's the best time to play, man. Have fun, play with confidence, and we've seen it from those 2 guys.